Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo and you've tuned into another live edition of the Locker Gnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short. I do this about an hour long every weekday, and you can get access to the entire broadcast, an hour's more worth of me. I'm Chris Pirillo and you've tuned into another live edition of the Locker Gnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short. Filled with technical difficulties caused by the host. This is live. I can't rewind it. You can, and watch it again if you want. Today's topic is almost opposite from yesterday's topic, and that is today I'm going to be diving into reasons why it is a colossally stupid idea for Microsoft to force a Windows 10 update from older versions of Windows out to the users, its user base, and this has been happening, and a lot of people are very upset about this. Microsoft is forcing the upgrade from your current version of Windows to Windows 10 if you're not already using Windows 10. And a lot of people aren't. 50-60% of the install base is still not using Windows 10. Microsoft doesn't like that. Well, after I talk about this, after having yesterday talked about why I think it's a good reason, today I'm going to be talking why it's not a good reason. I'm going to be diving into Pirillo Picks. I'm going to showcase. It's a daily show and tell, and then I'm answering questions asked by my patrons. Every weekday I do this, and then I'm talking about today's news. And then, doing general hangout-y things with the people who support me. If you want to become a patron, get access to all of TLDR, more of me, more of the things I'm talking about, more of the things that you want to talk about, head over to chrispirillo.com and sign up. So, again, I have to explain, because some people don't listen. They see the title of a video and then they comment. They too long didn't read, too long didn't watch. Well, I talked about why I think yesterday, why I think it was a good reason for Microsoft to make this move. But I think that the negatives far outweigh the positives of this particular scenario. So if you have not been impacted by this, then chances are you're running Windows 10. Now, if you're running something like Windows 8, I would tell you to upgrade to 10. Maybe you're running Windows 7. And 7 is different from Windows 10, and I think many people who understand Windows understand this. So the first reason why I think it is kind of a silly idea, and that's really, I'm being nice by using the word silly, a silly idea for Microsoft to force an update of their operating system. And I don't just mean like minor updates. I don't mean system updates. I don't mean service packs. I'm talking about a full-blown operating system upgrade from an older version of Windows to a newer version of Windows. Incompatibility. That's the number one reason. Remember, Microsoft just makes Windows, right? Here's Windows. And then an OEM takes that, the PC manufacturer, if you will, and they push it into a piece of hardware and then sell that to the consumer. That's great. That's great. Theoretically, it'll work. But how many times have you ever run into a driver problem with Windows? Frequently, if you use Windows, it can happen. And sometimes, those who have had experience with Windows would tell you, be careful about upgrading to the latest version of Windows, because the drivers that your system is running, to better be able to handle the hardware that you've got, because that's what drivers do. They're the software written to help accommodate the hardware on the PC, because there's so many variations out there. The drivers may not be compatible, not to mention the software that you run. Legacy software or new software. Maybe the software you've got is workable in the way that you've got it configured with your current version of Windows, and Windows 10, it's not compatible. Microsoft, honestly, is going, I don't know what to tell you. Get something else or talk to the developer. This is just... that's wild, man. That is crazy. Incompatibility is the number one reason I would say don't update to the latest version of anything, unless you like living with incompatibilities. Hey, knock yourself out. Now, you may wonder at this stage, well, wait a minute. Apple pushes operating system updates out there, and they get away with it. Well, remember, Apple controls the hardware. Microsoft does not control the hardware. And even to a certain degree, when they do control the hardware, it has problems. The Surface has been plagued with problems over and over. And I see the pundits out there who just live and die by the Surface having issues. And I'm like, wow, okay. Everyone has issues. I'm not saying that Microsoft's the only company out there that creates issues with software. But by introducing mass incompatibilities, that doesn't do anybody any favors. Now, a bigger reason that I would say this is kind of a silly idea, a bad idea for Microsoft to do this to its user base. Experience. So Windows 10 definitely goes a long way to making things better than they had been with Windows 8. I can't say that the first iteration of Windows 10 necessarily solved all of my user UX, I should say, user interface UI, user experience, UX, bugaboos. But I think that the general experience of a Windows 7 PC or a Windows 8 PC to a certain degree is different from Windows 10. And whereas, let's say a bleeding edge user, someone who can figure his or her way around software easily, it's a relative non-issue. But a lot of the people out there who are still using PCs are still married to the idea of how PCs used to be back in the day. And that's not the way Microsoft wants to go and potentially grow with a shrinking user base. So when even if you update a piece of software, have you ever done this? Like, let's say a browser or desktop software, or even an app, on a mobile device. Updated or haven't been updated, and the person who was using it just freaks out because the icon got moved. This is the group of people I'm talking about that is just going to freak out in terms of experience. Like, whoa! Like, everything changed. What happened to my this? What happened to my that? This now says this. This now works this way. I don't like it. It's different. Bad. Because they're not expecting it. They're not expecting it because it rolls out as a system update. And I know Microsoft's doing its best to mitigate as many incompatibilities and question marks as they possibly can in the process. But when you introduce any kind of change, even if it's minor, that could freak out a user. Doesn't freak me out because I'm expecting it, right? I'm not talking about the people who expect it. I'm talking about the people who go click, 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 click. Oh, Flash needs updated. Click, click. Oh, Java needs updated. Click, 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 click. What do you mean my files are being held for ransom? What does that mean? What is Bitcoin? I'm talking about that group of people, okay? Why? So I get it. I'm not slagging the value of Windows 10. I'm not slagging the value of Windows 7. It's not about that. I'm just saying that when you introduce change with a computer, that quite honestly still freaks some people out. Maybe not you and me. I'm not talking about you and me. I'm talking about the other people. I'm talking about 99% of the galaxy who freak out when you move an icon. I mean, it's like you've started World War III. You move an icon, 3 pixels to the left. No, the icon goes here. Okay. It's like when you try to change their homepage from Yahoo to Google, because the first thing they do when they open their web browser is they go to the search bar and search for Google and then click the link to Google something, because the default homepage is Yahoo. You know who I'm talking about. You do. Okay, so I think it throws the user experience of the PC under the bus. Third reason, and I think this is probably the deadliest reason for Microsoft to do something like this, the trust factor. Trust. We've trained people to, when it says it's a system update, even if I can't say it properly, when we see a system update, we've generally told these neophytes, people who are scared of the PC, and they have every right to be scared. The PC is a very scary thing. Software can be very, very scary. I mean, bad things can happen in software. Just because you understand it doesn't mean everybody does. And honestly, technology that doesn't work well for a user is really horrible technology, quite honestly. But the trust factor is in question, because imagine you've got this user who's used to this experience. They turn on the computer, everything's like this. Well, then the next time they turn on the computer, everything's not like that. They're no longer going to trust everything in the chain. They're not going to trust. They see they bought the computer from OEM. They know they're running this version of Windows, so they know is it Microsoft's fault? Is it the OEM's fault? Is it the store that they bought the computer from fault? They're all down the line. This entire chain is impacted by a trust factor, and for a user who can't mentally separate the OEM from the platform provider, from the store that sold them the computer, is a huge problem. This is like, I cannot even imagine what would happen if, and I know you could roll back to an earlier version of Windows. That's not the point. I understand. I've gone through the whole positive talk yesterday. This is just, people aren't expecting it. And if they don't trust Microsoft or they don't trust the OEM, who can they trust, right? You don't put that into question. Users will stop pressing update because they're afraid of what's going to happen, and they were already on the precipice of not updating their system. It's scary. Honestly, it scares me. It scares me because there are a lot more of them than they are of you, because I'm assuming that if you're watching this video, you actually care about this topic. If you're watching this video, the people who need to hear what it is that I'm saying will likely never search for the term, hey, what's going on? They won't. They'll just call you as a family member saying, hey, I woke up and my PC was different. What happened? Dude. Trust, incompatibility, experience. I think that those as points, I think far outweigh the positives of Microsoft trying to unify their base or move Windows into the future. Because I can tell you, a lot of people are kicking and screaming. There are a few people who didn't mind seeing the update getting pushed down the pike and being prompted to update to Windows 10. But I can tell you that the negative sentiment that I've seen is dramatically larger. And then again, the squeaky wheel usually gets the grease. I doubt they're going to get the grease. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. I mean, not just me, because I got no horse in this race. I don't care. I'm just here to tell you what I think. That's my opinion, right? I can't be wrong. This is my opinion. You can agree or disagree. Ultimately, I don't care. If you agree or disagree with me, it's still my opinion. And I've gone on both sides. So I can see it both ways. I'm right in the middle. I'm Switzerland here. Don't shoot the messenger. Especially if it's Microsoft Messenger or whatever they're using these days. I don't know. So, those are my thoughts. I'm going to move on to a happier topic now. Pirillo picks. I love this part of the broadcast every day. And then I'm going to be answering questions from my community, talking about and having a discussion with them, talking about today's news and other geekery. You can tune into the entire live TLDR broadcast that happens every weekday. Couldn't do it without you as a patron if you head over to chrispirillo.com. Today's free podcast highlight was brought to you by all of my active patrons from chrispirillo.com. If you want access to the full TLDR episodes, both audio, video, past, present, and future, which can be up to an hour long or longer, with even more tech insight from me every weekday, plus other bonus content without ads, and support me at the same time, you can sign up to become one of my supernomies too. This is just a brief taste of what I'm producing for you daily. Again, get more through chrispirillo.com.